So this says, in an experiment, volunteers witnessed a simulated crime. Okay. After they witnessed the simulation, the volunteers were first questioned by a lawyer whose goal was to get them to testify inaccurately about the event. They were then cross-examined by another lawyer whose goal was to cause them to correct the inaccuracies in their testimony. Okay, so we got they watched this simulation. We have one person trying to get them to be wrong, the other person trying to get them to correct it. The witnesses who gave testimony containing fewer inaccurate details than most of the other witnesses during the first lawyer's questioning also gave testimony containing a greater number of inaccurate details than most of the witnesses during cross-examination. Okay, wait, hang on, I got to read that again. So we're saying that the witnesses who gave testimony that had fewer inaccurate details than most of the other witnesses during the first questioning contained a greater number of inaccurate details during the cross-examination. Oh, I feel like I know this. I guarantee this is my mom calling me. Yep, so I'm gonna ignore her. Okay. I understand our stimulus, and this says, which of the following, if true, most helps to resolve the apparent conflict in the results concerning that the witness who gave testimony contains fewer inaccurate details than the first lawyer's questioning. So I love this paradox question is a little bit easier because it actually gives us the two facts that we're trying to solve here. And so the question we're asking ourselves is, why did the people that gave fewer inaccuracies the first time give more the second time? And so we want to make a prediction here. Why could that possibly be?
My thought,
Oh, sorry, you can go first.
no, I was just going to say, my thought was sometimes you start second guessing yourself.
Okay.
I kind of thought maybe they got kind of like caught up in their own little lie. Like they kind of said inaccuracies the first time, and then when they went to say it again, they got it like they were kind of caught up and forgot what they said the first time.
Okay. Does anybody else? Okay. So I think this one, what makes this question is, so what was the goal of the first lawyer? What was he trying to do?
Trying to cross them up. He wanted them to be inaccurate.
He wanted them to be inaccurate, right? So we had group A. So for the lawyer that wanted them to be inaccurate, group A told the most inaccuracies, and group B told fewer. What did the second lawyer want them to do, Giovanna?
I'm sorry. Now you lost me because you said, I'm sorry. What was the question? Because
what was the goal? Okay, so for the first lawyer who wanted them to be inaccurate, we had one group of people that were inaccurate, like more inaccurate, and we had a second group that was less accurate, right? So just A and B, like just yeah. So what was the goal of the second attorney?
The second wanted them to correct their inaccuracies.
Yeah, so he wanted them to be accurate. And so actually I get what this is. Okay, I'm going to change how I diagrammed the first one, where group A, I'm going to say that he wanted them to be inaccurate, but I'm going to put it like if they weren't accurate, I'm going to draw it down. So I'm going to say A was not accurate and B was accurate or more accurate. And then B, the attorney wanted them to be accurate, and group A was more accurate, and group B was less accurate. Why might that be? So we want to know, like, why was there this change? Do you think that these people are easily influenced? Which group do you think is more easily influenced by people?
B. Do
you think B is more easily influenced? Which one is doing this? Which group is answering the way that the person wanted them to answer?
A.
I think that group B isn't easily influenced by the lawyer trying to get them to do what they want, would be my prediction. Like maybe group B is more accurate because they're saying exactly what happened and they're not easily influenced. And maybe in group 2, they're least accurate because once again, they're not being influenced by this person asking the questions, where group A is just telling the person what they think.
But that's not, okay, hold on. That's what the witness who gave testimony. Dang.
That's just a prediction. That's just my prediction for what would solve the paradox.
But they gave a greater number of inaccuracies the second time around.
Right, because I'm thinking that they gave a greater number of inaccuracies because the attorney, what I'm predicting is group B's people story didn't change. But in group 1, they were more accurate. Group B was more accurate than group A in round 1, even though their story didn't change, because group A was super inaccurate because they said what this attorney wanted them to say. In group 2, I'm thinking that the B still told the same story, but group A became more accurate because the lawyer was leading them to be more accurate. Is my prediction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Does that make sense to you, Giovanna?
No.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay, so let me try this again.
Let's see.
All right, let's go ahead and read through the answers and put your answers in the chat,
Okay.
and we'll talk about it more.
Okay.
All right, so we're wanting to solve this paradox between the two here. And so A says, these witnesses were more observant about the details than were most of the other witnesses. This doesn't explain why they're, like, just because they were more observant, that doesn't explain why they were more accurate one time and less accurate another. So we can cross that one off. B says these witnesses had better memories. Once again, what we're trying to solve is why were they more accurate than group A the first time and less accurate the second time. So them having better memories doesn't explain that. D says these witnesses were unclear about the details at first, but then began to remember more accurately as they answered questions. Well, that doesn't explain why they were less accurate the second time compared to the other group. And then E says these witnesses tended to give testimony containing more detail. Well, that doesn't matter. They gave more details.
Mm-hmm.
And so then C says these witnesses were less inclined than most of the other witnesses to be influenced in their testimony by the nature of the question. So I thought of a better way to picture this, what this means. So let's say that we have the inaccurate attorney first, and he's questioning group A and group B.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that attorney A's goal is for each group to have 5 inaccuracies. Okay. Let's say that group A gives 5 inaccuracies and group B only gives 2 inaccuracies. And then let's say that the second lawyer's goal is for them to be accurate and to give 0 inaccuracies. And so let's say that group A gave 0 inaccuracies, but group B still gave 2. And so what this shows is what B truly just said what they saw, where group A was probably more influenced by what the goal of the person asking the questions was wanting them to say. Was that a better explanation?
That's not the way I read it, though.
They were less inclined than most of the other witnesses to be influenced. So like, they were less influenced. So it's not that their accuracy changed. It's just that this other group was more influenced by the direction of it.
I mean, I got the right answer, and I stick by the answer. I'm not wavering.
How did you understand the answer, Giovanna?
The way I understood it, because it says the witnesses who gave testimony containing fewer inaccuracies. Then, so that would have been wait a minute. Then most of the other. Yeah. Okay. So that one group of the lawyers in the one group.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of people who stood by their guns. They didn't go for his BS. Excuse me.
That's group B here.
No. I was looking at A, the witnesses. The first lawyer, there's still an A, the first lawyers, the witnesses who gave testimony containing fewer inaccurate
Yeah,
details than
in
most.
my group, in my example, I'm considering that group B.
They said the first lawyer's questioning. So that can't be B.
Well, I mean, I made up A and B.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
made it up to show it.
Well, see, okay.
I literally just
Because-
made it up. Group 1 and group, like, okay, so in group 1, there's 2 groups, right? There's
Right.
people that were
Right.
accurate and those that were inaccurate. In my diagram, I just made A the inaccurate people.
Well, see what I took, okay, in that group 1, there's group A and group B.
Yes.
So in that group 1, there are those who were accurate. They had fewer inaccuracies in that group 1.
Yes.
So that's what I took out of that. So
Yes,
those,
I agree. I just made that group B in my diagram.
but hold on. Then you got to go to group, that's group 2.
Yes.
So now you got group A and B in group 2. So you're
Yeah.
looking at 4 people. I mean, 4
Right.
different groups. I know I've made it complicated, but you don't have just 2 groups. You actually have 4 groups.
I have group A and B in group 1 and group 1 and 2 in group. There, okay, yeah, I feel like you got to the answer, which is great. I don't want to confuse
I
people
know,
and-
that's